making gluten-free noodles today. And so the way we're making it is a bit similar to kind of the way like we make like some types of the soba noodles. And so this is a rice flour. This is rice flour, and then so we'll just put it into this mixer, right? It's a 10 kilogram mixer, and that means that you can mix up to 10 kilograms of solid ingredients at a time. And but like minimum batch, right? Minimum batch, it needs to be 4 kilograms of solid ingredients. So on top of solid ingredients, you're adding liquid, right? So you can probably get the hydration ratio up to 50%. So for example, like 10 kilograms of, like 50% hydration ratio, like 10 kilograms of solid ingredients, that's 5 kilograms of like liquid, right? So that's 15 kilograms of like dough you're getting out of one batch of the mixing. And so what she's actually putting in is hot water. And she'll mix it for 10 minutes. And so the reason she's adding like hot water is that we want to gelatinize like some of the starch in the powder to make it viscous, so that these flour like kind of like form into like kind of makes it like easier like to form into dough, and makes it like easier to like stick together. So the reason we she mixed it like just by itself, like that's just by the solid ingredients for 1 minute, is that like we want to make sure that all the powder there's no like, for example, like chunks of like flours, chunks of doughs not there, like, so we want to like break them into like small pieces, so like powdery and everything, right? And then we also wanted like put some air into the flours. This is just all for like kind of good hydration, of dough. So the purpose of mixing is to hydrate well. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this machine is called Richmond One machine, and this particular model is for EU countries. So like it has the CE mark on it, CE certification on it. So we can export it to European countries, EU countries, no problem. And this Richmond One, like, so rich, right? Like, well, rich, and men means, of course, like in Japanese, like that's noodles. So don't, be confused with that name being, by what it literally sounds like. But what she's doing right now is like she's doing like making like rough sheet of dough first. Sure. Yes. So recipe is basically like rice flour and just like in the starch, right? Tapioca starch, right? And then this hot water and with a little bit of oil, like vegetable oil. And so it's very clean, smooth dough that you can make through, just first sheeting, fresh brown sheeting. And she's just kind of controlling a bit of like, this sheeting speed. So we want to first want to go slowly. So we want to apply the good pressure into the dough, to make it firm. So we want to go slow first. So basically, this machine is all-in-one model, and that you can actually make up to around 100 portions of fresh noodles in 1 hour from scratch. And yeah, this figure model, like this C model, C certified model, and we have another model that's for United States and Canada, where that's actually like safety standards are required. So this is a C model. So in European countries, like that's single phase, 230 volts and 50 hertz. So you can, like, if you, for example, like if you're like using this machine, Germany, like you can just like plug it right into the regular socket, regular power socket at home, and start making noodles there, like at your home, which yeah, which is which would be kind of like interesting. And what she's doing now is that like this process like called compounding process. So first like we just made like rough sheet of dough, right? But like it's not really firm, right? It's not really strong. So we want to make it stronger, right? By separating it and then combining through the roller. Like so, like we made like two separate sheets, right? Two separate sheets, right? And then compound them through the roller to make it firm. Yeah, so we'll do this kind of process for other types of noodles. So like this basically like a noodle making process like on this machine kind of goes like kind of similarly for other types of noodles we make on this machine. Whether it's ramen noodles or like whether it's like soba noodles or udon noodles or pasta like spaghettini, like fettuccine, even like a lasagna sheet. And we also make dumpling skins, gyoza skins on this machine. And so it's pretty versatile. Yeah, it's pretty versatile, and it's yes, it's gluten free, and it's got a rice flour and tapioca starch and water and oil. And I think I didn't get that second question. It's gone now. So will
Is it only for restaurants or
hmm?
is it only for restaurants?
For restaurants.
Only for restaurants.
Only for rest. Well, some people use it for like kind of small production, like that they do like for like local restaurants and like you know local supermarkets. They some of the customers actually use some of the customers actually supermarkets. For example, like we have a customer in like Boston, Massachusetts states like United States, and they use this machine for um, yes, but like what's important here is that like when she separated the dough, right? I mean, um, what's important here is that like it's to make it even, right? To make it even when sheeting them. So just to separate it, we don't. Yeah, she can probably visually like seeing it like and to like maybe like kind of equal amount of dough, right? On one side and the other side. And what's important is that like well to make it even like will last, right? So if one side is longer, she can make it even by like folding it to the roller, so like it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so we have a customer like in Boston, right? And then their supermarket actually, like kind of small supermarket, and it's a Japanese grocery supermarket, and they use this machine to make a variety of like fresh noodles, ramen, udon, you name it, like yakisoba noodle, like stir fried noodles, and even some like a bao kind of um, dough, right? In this machine, and so it's like they sell them like in the supermarket, right? And then they even like make some noodles and like distribute them like to local supermarkets, neighborhood. So um, yeah, so I think they are getting like enough bang out of this machine, and so it's very versatile. And then some of our other customers like are yeah using this machine, like some other types of machines to you know well for the production or like the noodle products that are like kind of for the retail um, and like that are like aimed for like the local kind of consumers, local neighborhood like and or to be like distributed at like some supermarkets. So it's yeah, so like it's not just a restaurant. It's not just for restaurants, but like production, distribution, like wholesale, retail. Yeah, so it's very kind of like fun to have it to like kind of like produce like kind of craft noodles, your own craft noodles, and yeah. Yes. We actually have yeah. So like we told you that like we have schools, right? We have like we provide like training courses on ramen, udon, and soba, and we actually have like a soba school in our Tokyo office at our Tokyo office, and then we do actually have like if you check out our website where there's kind of school like menu button. And underneath it, like you maybe like find a page where we list like all these like textbooks, right? And then one of the textbooks like is listed is like soba book, and then that's a noodle making textbook, like on soba noodles. And yeah, it's like some of the health benefits of soba noodles, buckwheat are kind of talked about there. And I think like buckwheat seeds like kind of consumed kind of worldwide, like and then like people call it like kind of superfood, right? Superfood for its highly nutritional values, right? But then um, but like Japanese, right? How Japanese eat buckwheat seeds are like just mainly in form of noodles. But the buckwheat itself is just just superfood and like can be consumed like in different ways. And so it's yeah, it's a great food. And yeah, it's like in France, right? They make a pancake out of it, right? So yeah, that's great. And it's got like so the value like maybe like soba is um so yes, so like we've been conducting like our school like training courses like last year, like several times in Kagawa and then a few times in Tokyo. But like yeah, Kagawa being like really countryside and like having like maybe few cases of like infection like maybe like in a day, right? But like Tokyo being like a really big city, right? Where um, we hear like yeah, we heard that like maybe like over 2,000 people got infected today, like in Tokyo. So um, it's yeah, it's pretty hard for us to conduct a school right now in Tokyo, especially in Tokyo, right? In Kagawa maybe it's maybe possible, but like in Tokyo that's kind of um, maybe it's a bit like responsible for us to like conduct school in Tokyo right now. So like in Kagawa that's possible, but like um, and we have another one like in Singapore, but like Singapore is just a country where a lot of people like fly into right from different countries, and it's practically like Singapore has been like kind of shut down, right? Shut down for the country, so it's pretty difficult for us to like conduct school there. So what we've been preparing for is like e-learning courses. Like that's an online courses that we are hoping to replace some of the curriculum that we do in real courses. So that's what we are preparing for, and then like hoping to launch in a few months. And so we're yeah, that's what we've been working for. That's what we've been working on. Yeah, so she's cutting it now, and then so this machine. Okay. Yeah. So we had a question like, can you supply like, hey, can you like provide information on supplier for different grades of like buckwheat, right? That depends on like where you want it, where you want this. So yes, depending on place, like it's possible for us to just provide that information on the suppliers. And yes, I think we can talk about it later. And she's just kind of cutting it off like in the middle, and then to make another size of noodles. So just to finish this part of the dough with this cutter, that was like number 20 cutter, which means that like that's 1.5 millimeter in width. And yeah, so depending on kind of size and size of the noodles, like noodle texture vary dramatically. So it's uh, it's very important. The noodle size is very important, and so that less hydration ratio, the harder. This is the number. This means that like 3 millimeter width. And so that's like a wider noodles. This will be like wider noodles. Sorry about the poor connection that we had on my Wi-Fi here. So basically, so she set the other cutter that's like wider, and so she's cutting it with the cutter. So it's gonna be like wider noodle, like kind of flat noodles, and you can actually easily change the length of the noodles. Meaning like so like longer the noodles, right? Longer the portion of noodles, the bigger the portion of noodle, right? Longer length, bigger the portion. Shorter, um, smaller the portion size. Shorter, um, smaller the portion size. So you can, it's very easy to adjust the length with that volume. So this is gonna be like kind of flat noodles. That may be like great for kind of like maybe like dipping noodles or like kind of lighter soup. All right, so that was pretty easy and smooth, like to make gluten-free noodles like on the ramen machine. It's Richmond one, right? Okay, so we can move to our kitchen.
Hey, thank you. And thank you everyone for watching and Happy New Year's. My name is Thomas. I'm one of the instructors at the Yamato Noodle School. And today, the topic is healthy noodle dishes. The reason is because many people are looking for healthy meal options because of the holiday season to make up for all the good food you had during the holiday season. So we're gonna introduce you guys two different healthier noodle dishes. First one is Nagasaki champon. So this one is a regional cuisine of Nagasaki, Japan. So it's known for that variety of topping ingredients that's stir-fried and simmered in ramen soup and is topped on ramen noodles. And some of the topping ingredients are pork belly, prawns, cuttlefish, cabbage, bean sprouts, chives, carrots. So yeah, all sorts of ingredients are used for as a topping. So it's a very balanced meal, and it's one of the healthier ramen options out there in the market. Okay, so that's one, Nagasaki champon. And the second one is gluten-free vegan pad thai. So first of all, pad thai is a stir-fry Thai noodle dish, and it's known for that sweet, savory, and sour taste. And we're going to make this with the gluten-free rice noodles that we just made with the Richmond machine, and we're going to make it vegan. Okay, so let's get going. Let's start off from making the Nagasaki champon first. Okay, so let's go over here. Let me just talk about the ingredients. So for the Nagasaki champon, we're going to use, first of all, pork stock. And as a topping, we have prawn, pork belly, fish cake. And for the vegetables, we have cabbage, bean sprouts, carrots, chives, and some minced garlic. And so this is for one portion, so that's a lot of vegetables and a good source of protein. So it's a very healthy ramen option. And for the noodles, we have the spinach powder mixed in noodle. So this is gonna cut down a little bit on the carbs, and also it's gonna give a little bit more nutrients, vitamins and minerals. Okay, so let's get going. So first thing we want to do is prepare the soup and the ingredients, topping. So heat up the pan. We're going to put a little bit of this lard, pork fat. And first, you want to stir fry the protein ingredients. So pork belly and prawn. Sorry, fish cake as well. Okay. And once the protein ingredients are half cooked, let's put in the vegetables. And just stir fry these until it's half cooked. And then we're going to pour in the ramen soup later. Okay, so this is good enough. So let's pour in 1 scoop of this ramen stock. By the way, this is pre-seasoned. So just like this, let's let it simmer to fully cook the ingredients. And also, we're going to extract some of the flavor into the stock too to make it more flavorful. So let's just let this simmer. And let's go over to the let's just wait for the boiling machine to fully to have like a rapid boil. You have to make sure the noodle machine, boiling machine is fully rapidly boiling. And we're going to boil these for 2.5 minutes, and then put the noodles into the bowl and pour in the soup and the topping. Sorry, well, let's just, while we wait for the boiling machine to boil, let me just talk about the ingredients for the pad thai. So we're going to make it vegan. So for the protein, we're going to use fried tofu and carrots and red pepper and chives and bean sprouts. So once again, this is another great noodle dish where you can intake a lot of vegetables. And for the sauce, we have this vegan pad thai sauce. Okay, it's sweet, sour, and savory. And for the toppings, we have cilantro, crushed peanuts, thinly sliced chili pepper, and some lime as well. Sorry, it's taking a while for the boiling machine to boil. Let's talk about the noodles that we pre-made. So this is the spinach ramen noodles that I explained a little. Okay, so yeah, this one is the buckwheat, so soba noodles that we made with the ramen machine. So this one is half soba flour and half wheat flour. And here's the rice noodles that's gluten-free. And we made it in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So here's a thin rice noodles, here's a flat one, and here's a little bit thicker version. We're going to use this for the pad thai. And for the spinach noodles, we made it for the Nagasaki champon. So for Nagasaki champon, the noodle is round. So usually ramen noodles are usually square shaped or rectangular shaped, but this one is use the round cutter to make it round, just like spaghetti. Okay. Okay, so the boiling machine, it's almost there. Oh, so we have a question. Is So is there a reason to use thicker noodles or is it just preference? I would say it's just preference, but I like to use thicker noodles for like stir fry noodles. So it gives that better bite to it. And but like the question said, it's pretty much preference. Some people like it thinner noodles. Some people like it flat noodles, thicker noodles. It's just preference. But I like to use thicker noodles for the stir fry noodles. More questions. Okay. So we have another question. Is there a way to know how long to cook time for fresh noodles? Is it based off thickness ingredients used, or is it just specific formula? I would say usually the boiling time depends on the thickness of the noodles. So, and it's through experience too. So pretty much, if it's like a noodle that I never boiled before, I'll just start boiling the noodles. And maybe like a minute later, I'll take a piece of that noodle and just taste check, see how cooked it is. And so you have to kind of like check by actually boiling the noodles. For these, I would boil for 2.5. As you can see, it's nice and green because of the spinach. By the way, there's 5% spinach powder mixed into this noodles. So the vegetable and all the ingredients are fully cooked, and some of the flavor is extracted into soup, so the soup tastes great too. And also the ingredients, since the ingredients are cooked in the soup, it's gonna give some seasons the vegetables and the ingredients, the topping ingredients as well, so it's very flavorful. So another question, are the noodles cooked al dente as Italian cooking? Yes, because usually ramen, like what we're making right now, it's served in soup. So while the noodle is getting ready or while it's being served to the customer, it's gonna give it another minute or two in between. So you have to kind of cook it al dente, just right before it's perfectly cooked, so that when it's at in front of the customer, it's at the perfect texture and the boiledness. Okay. So the noodles should be ready soon. Okay. And you want to completely remove this boiling water, because that's going to dilute the soup. Okay. Into the bowl. And first thing you want to do is just pour the soup in first and put the toppings in later. Okay. Put all the toppings in the middle. Try to make a mountain of these toppings. And lastly, put some thinly sliced leek on top. Okay. So this is how to make Nagasaki champon. As you can see, there's a lot of vegetables and good source of protein. So it's a really balanced meal compared to all the other types of ramen. So this is the first one. And the next one, we're going to be making pad thai. So I'll start boiling the noodles first. And the cooking time should be around 2 minutes. And just like Japanese style yakisoba, Japanese style stir fry noodles, after you boil the noodles, you have to wash the noodles to remove the starch around the noodles, because that's going to cause the stickiness. So wash and chill. And after you wash and chill, you have to coat the noodles with oil. And that's going to prevent the noodles from sticking back together.
Okay.
Okay, 30 more seconds. And for the oil, I'm just going to use vegetable oil. And after these are done, wash and make sure to change the water at least once. The first one is going to be a little bit too starchy. So wash, remove all the starch, change the water, make it into fresh, clean water, and clean off the last bit of starch on the outside of the noodles. Okay. So the noodle goes into this strainer. And remove all the starch around the noodles. So as you can see, the water is kind of cloudy. This is all the starch. So remove the water, change it to fresh, clean water. So now the water's pretty clear compared to the first one. Okay. So strain out the water and coat the noodles with oil. So, so we have a question. The washing process is just for the gluten-free type of noodles? No, we do this for every type of noodles, for regular ramen noodles. So when we make yakisoba out of ramen noodles with some kansui, we do this process, same process. Because most type of noodles, they include starch, and the starch around the starch in the noodles will like come out when they're boiling, and it's gonna cause the noodles to become sticky on the outside. So you have to remove all the starch on the outside of the noodles. Okay, so the noodles are ready. So the pan, let's start stir frying the noodles. First, vegetable oil into the pan, and put the fried tofu, carrots, and red bell pepper into the pan. So these will take longer to cook compared to bean sprouts and chives, so I put these in first. And as you can see, there's some color to the tofu, so I'm going to add in the bean sprouts and chives. These will cook quickly, so just a little bit. This. And let's add in the noodles. And now let's add in the pad thai sauce. So I put in some sweet chili sauce, soy sauce, garlic, some vinegar into the sauce. And just stir fry until all these moisture evaporates and the noodles are nicely seasoned. Okay, as you can see, all the moisture is evaporated, and also the noodles are nicely seasoned. So let's just plate these pad thai. And as a topping, I have some cilantro, fresh cilantro. In the middle, and also crushed peanuts. And some thinly sliced chili pepper. Gives nice color to the dish. And put some lime on the side. So here's the gluten-free vegan pad thai. As you can see, it's a great dish. You can take a lot of vegetables by seasoning it sweet and sour, the pad thai sauce. And you can have some protein with the tofu, so it's a very balanced meal as well. So both of these noodle dishes, you can take a lot of vegetables, so it's a healthier noodle option that you can serve at your restaurant.